Meal prep. I would not say that's a phrase that usually inspires a lot of excitement about cooking or eating. I think people hear meal prep and get kind of sad. So I'm here to make some meal prep propaganda because I like to meal prep. Controversial yet brave. Meal prep does not have to conjure up an image of sad, mush food that tastes like the microwave if you don't want it to. So I'm going to talk about how to make meal prepped food taste good and how to make it work for your preferences and how to keep it interesting. And I'm going to show you 2 weeks worth of meal prep examples, and by the end of this, you will have joined my cult. To begin, why I like to meal prep. I started meal prepping when I was trying to kill my lockdown DoorDash habit. And not only did it work for that, I also just preferred it. So I kept doing it. I love only having to think about what to eat once a week, or I guess twice if I'm going out, but that's like a fun sort of what do I eat. And when I am hungry, something is always immediately available to me. My hangriest self doesn't have to make choices anymore. She doesn't really come out to play because I have meal prepped. The 2 objections that I see the most to meal prepping are that it tastes bad and then it gets boring to eat the same things over and over again, both of which are reasonable objections, but I have suggestions to address them. Enjoying cooking and enjoying eating are both quite important to me, so best believe I have not sacrificed flavor for convenience. And with that, a series of tips to make your meal prep taste good or to kind of give them the essence of a fresh cooked meal. 1, this feels kind of obvious, but you have to consider the circumstances under which you will be reheating and eating. Is this a pure microwave at work situation? Or is this you're having dinner at home and some pieces of it can be made fresh? I have never had reheated pasta that was texturally correct. So I do not meal prep pasta. I will meal prep pasta sauce if this is something I'm eating at home for dinner. Or I will prep a pasta salad that does not need to be reheated at all. I think the things that reheat best if you are not in an environment with an air fryer is anything in the soup or slop category, and salads and sandwiches and wraps make good meal prep because they don't need to be reheated at all. 2, seasoning. When you are cooking, if you are making soup or slop, season every single layer that you add. And when you are reheating it, season it again. Even if it's like in the break room and all you have are those little salt packets, use them. If you can pull off a little squeeze of lemon at work, that's even better. I implore you to do this if you're microwaving. Reseason your food after you've microwaved it. It will bring your meal prep back to life. And if you're reheating it on the stove at home, a little olive oil gives everything that just cooked essence. 3, add something cold, crunchy, fermenty, or all of the above. Nothing feels less like mush food from the microwave than something that has sauerkraut on top of it, or feta, or a crunchy nut or seed, kimchi, banana peppers. If there is something cold in a jar that goes with your meal, I highly suggest putting it on there. 4, a really good sauce goes a long way. I have a whole video about how to make them for both pasta and salad type dishes. I think being able to whip up a really good sauce on a moment's notice is what has enabled me to enjoy meal prep food more. And when you make your sauce, or if you buy your sauce, that's fine too. Do not pre-dress all your meals with it. Apply the sauce at the time of eating. And you can bring the sauce back to life with a little sprinkle of salt and a little squeeze of lemon as well. Nothing stopping you, honestly. A really good sauce immediately takes you out of this is sad food that I have microwaved for myself territory and immediately into this is something special and luxurious that I have prepared for myself territory. 5, buy an air fryer. Not joking, that thing changed not only my life, but also my relationship to leftovers and also my potatoes and my vegetables. It brings everything back to life and it does so very quickly. Okay, those are some general texture and flavor considerations. You will see them at play in the examples. But of course, there is also the methods. Everyone's always talking about the methods. I like to make 6 lunches and 6 dinners and eat them all week. I have come to learn that that is not what everyone likes to do. But even if you don't like to do that, that doesn't mean that you cannot meal prep. There is an in-between, a way to pre-cook some stuff and leave some other stuff up to the imagination. I feel like there's like 3 categories of meal prep. There's the sort of classic chicken, broccoli, rice. It's all cooked. It's all in individual Tupperwares and you throw it in the microwave and that's what you have. A lot of what I would do is what I would call like half prepped. I have made all the stuff that I think tastes good reheated, and I have left a few things to prepare fresh in the moment, and I don't really assemble anything until mealtime. And then there is what I think a lot of people might prefer, which is to pre-chop and pre-marinate a few elements that make up a meal, and then switch them out for one thing or another over the course of a week, or change their format and presentation throughout the week. Last night's protein and vegetable can become today's wrap at lunch. And if you get the ick for one format or one combination of things, things, you have other options. You can swap in a different protein. You can swap in a different vegetable. If this is more your vibe, it would help you greatly to have a lot of non-perishables on hand. Pasta, rice, beans, lentils, any grain really, any frozen protein. But I think the best way to explain all of this is to show it to you in action. The first week of examples is going to be the norm for me, which is prepping as much as possible and eating the same thing every day. And the second week of examples is going to be more like the switching it up as we go method. I will say that I kind of think the former is an easier place to start, especially if you're someone who is chronically plagued with the what should I eat question. And once you've figured out what to do within the prep parameters, I find it easier to then become an ingredients household. I think it's kind of hard to start there though, but maybe that's just me. Lunch number 1, fall salad. This is a real, we have sweet green at home type meal. And for it, I have prepped the part of the salad that reheats well. I roasted a big tray of sweet potato, chickpeas, and red onion together and cooked up a cup of farro and mixed all that together in a big bowl and put it in the fridge. I made a dressing with tahini, basil, and lemon juice. And then come lunchtime, I add all the stuff that I like cooked fresh. I chop up some cabbage and some kale and I saute that in some olive oil and lemon juice and salt and garlic. And then I throw all the prepped mix in with that and reheat it on the stove. And I am re-seasoning that prepped mix with everything I seasoned it with originally. On the side, I air fried a Beyond Italian sausage and then I mixed that in too because I like those to get really crispy, so I don't think they reheat that well when you just throw them on the stove. At the end, I put the dressing on all of that and then I put a bunch of cold, crunchy, fermenty things on top. And now it feels like a fresh, special meal and not something that I cooked 3 days ago and have to have all week. If I didn't work from home, I would probably not make a warm salad. I would make a salad that I like cold. I actually think this one would be good cold just without the cabbage. So I would do more kale and probably a different protein. Bring the sauce on the side. Address it all when you get there, bada bing. You have fall salad at job. And if you do the protein on the side, that also means you can swap that out halfway through the week if you want to. I must once again caution that I stopped eating meat before I ever learned how to cook it or store it. I don't know how long that lasts in the fridge, so you will have to ignore my recommendations for how long to prep protein if they don't apply. Dinner 1, slop meal. I have something brewing in my mind right now about like AI slop, food slop, content consumption, food consumption. I don't know what it is yet, but just know that that's percolating up here. This is a real basic coconut milk curry that I make all the time. I start with onion and garlic and curry paste. And then I add a bunch of potatoes, season that layer. And then I add a bunch of cauliflower, season that layer. And then I add a can of coconut milk and broth until everything is just covered and let it simmer down for a while. Historically, I have also made this with seitan, but this week, after my learnings from the soup video, I waited on the seitan. And come dinner time, I made rice in the rice cooker. I air fried the seitan to get it crispy. I reheated the curry in the pot while re-seasoning it along the way. I mixed my freshly crispy seitan in right at the end. And then I hit the whole bowl with an enormous splash of soy sauce. If you don't have an air fryer, you could also just cook the seitan in the curry to begin with. That's what I've been doing for years and that also tastes good. And if you don't dislike reheated rice, you could just cook that right in too. It's very good and very easy and I cannot recommend it enough. And also, it makes a great leftovers burrito. This was breakfast one day when I was not in the mood for my usual oatmeal. A little currito. I ate my fall salad and my curry 6 times each, and I was happy to do so. Perhaps you wouldn't be, but you would still like the ease of not having to make so many choices. What does one of those ingredient household weeks look like? I will break a meal down into its building blocks: carb, protein, vegetable, sauce. Each of those categories can have like a main thing in them, and then that thing can be swapped out for other things in its category and still be a meal. So you just need to have options for each category. And if they would work in a pre-chopped or pre-marinated environment, you can do so. Or you can have like a chunk of the meal prepped and then swap out one component over the course of the week. So for lunch, big salad. Shocking, never seen one of these on the channel before. Never eaten this in my life. I've never heard of the Near East roasted garlic and olive oil couscous. I prepped the base of this salad with red onion, cucumber, little tomatoes, couscous, dill, parsley, and lemon juice. In the words of my dear friend Anne, herbs are leaves and you can use them as such. I also prepped a sauce with tahini, dill, lemon juice, and miso, and I marinated some chickpeas in harissa. I did that on the side so that I could use them at both lunch and dinner, depending on the vibe. For the actual assembly of the salad and the swapping out of things, I have a whole host of protein options I can choose from. I got a bag of Gardein spicy chicken patty. I got some of these little seitan gochujang strips. I have a leftover serving of seitan from the curry, and I have 2 Beyond sausages left from the fall salad. I plan to rotate all of them in over the course of the week to keep the salad interesting. For today, I made it with the Gardein spicy chicken patty. I air fried the chickpeas till they were super crispy and used those as my crouton. I put a bunch of cold, crunchy, fermenty things on top and a little bit of lemon juice on the salad to bring it back to life. Now for dinner, I hate chopping sweet potato. It annoys me so much. Why is it so hard? The only way I can convince myself to actually eat them multiple days in a row is to have one dedicated Saturday morning chopping session in which I chop them all. So I chopped a bunch of sweet potato and I also marinated that in harissa. And come dinner time, I will cook up a portion of it. But also, I got some fingerling potatoes. So if I get sick of the sweet potatoes, I can swap them out for those. For the veggies, I got Brussels sprouts for the first half of the week. And halfway through, I will swap them out for whatever calls to me. And for the protein, I have the same 4 different options that I have for lunch. The first night I made this meal, I air fried that leftover serving of seitan with the Brussels sprouts. I coated the Brussels in the seitan in this sort of mystery spicy herb oil that's been sitting in the fridge from takeout for a while. And I topped it with some kimchi because once again, cold, crunchy, fermenty things make everything taste better. That was my first go at this meal and I felt like it was missing something. Particularly, it was missing a sauce. So the next day, I made it again. I used those little gochujang seitan strips as the protein, and I took that same herby chili oil and I mixed it with a little peanut butter to make a little spicy peanut sauce. And that was really good. That leveled the meal up for me. And then when I ran out of Brussels sprouts, I made the same meal again, but with broccolini. And then things got really crazy. I grabbed a little onion and garlic at the store in the morning. I roasted it up with some of that already marinated sweet potato, and then I blended it into a soup. And I topped that with the Gardein spicy chicken patty and some of those super crispy chickpeas that I had with the salad. New format. Maybe whatever you have for dinner can also be a soup. So though I don't always cook like this, I did find it fun to let a meal evolve over the course of the week. Some potatoes this day, some potatoes that day, some veggies this day, some veggies that day, sauce some days, soup one day. When you're not really using your recipe, you're just making ingredients in a bowl. You can shuffle them to your liking and tie it all together with some sort of seasoning or sauce. You can prep whatever is preppable and leave the rest up to the vibe of the moment. Hi, it's me from 1 week later. I just didn't finish the video by the time I was already making a 3rd week of food. So I'm just going to put the 3rd week of food in here too. Truly might as well. Lunch this week, we've got some sandwiches. Ever since I made a chickpea salad sandwich for the bean video, I'm like, oh, I need a whole week of those. So here we are. I prepped a big old chickpea salad, but I only prepped the chickpea salad. I didn't make it all into sandwiches yet because I don't want the bread to get soggy. One thing that I would love to note here about mayo-based salads is that the mayo mush part of that can be whatever you want it to be. I would recommend making it tangy, but other than that, it doesn't even have to be mayonnaise if you don't want it to be. And I don't want it to be personally. My mush for my chickpea salad was tahini, lemon juice, mustard, a roasted poblano pepper blended up, chives, salt, pepper, nutritional yeast, green onion. I mashed my chickpeas up, I mixed all that together, and come lunchtime, I will slather it on some bread and I'll put some tempeh bacon on there and also arugula. And for once in my life, I have an example where I'm actually meal prepping something that I'm going to have on the go. I don't have time between my stops tomorrow to get lunch, so my chickpea salad sandwich is coming with me. I do really think that sandwiches are kind of the platonic ideal of a work lunch or an on-the-go lunch because they can be good cold. And I used to make them all the time when my job was not done at my house. And for dinner, it's getting cold and I want to be cozy, so I'm going to have pasta. But I do not prep the actual pasta, I just make the pasta sauce. I air fried some butternut squash and I blended it with onion, garlic, miso, sun-dried tomatoes, and some Better Than Bouillon no chicken base. For the meatballs, I was feeling a little fancy, a little creative even, and I made a little sage glaze for them, which I just did by making a little simple syrup and soaking some sage in it while doing so. You just boil equal parts water and sugar until it has become a little syrup. And while you're doing that, you can infuse it with whatever you want. An herb, a fruit, a cinnamon stick. I love to do this to make fun little cocktail and mocktail syrups, and they also make very good gifts. If you're struggling to figure out what to get people, I like to make a little oh, I know you really like this flavor. Here is a syrup for you. I also ended up getting some balsamic after I made this because I thought that would be good with the glaze. So it's not pictured in the glaze yet, but it will be on my little meatballs. So come dinner time, I boil my pasta. I put the sauce on it. I put a little extra butter in there, a little salt, a little pepper, and I glaze my little meatballs, and then all is well in the world. I do think this would be really good with mushrooms and kale. So I might grab some of those tomorrow and throw them in. But that will not be in this video. The video will be uploaded by the time I'm putting kale in this damn pasta. Okay, back to past me. A closing thought. It can take a while to build up a repertoire of meals and figure out what you like that also fits within the meal prep format. One of my favorite ways to do this, to build the repertoire, is to take a meal that you like from a restaurant or a meal that you saw in a recipe video that would not work in meal prep format as is and try to reconfigure it. How can you take some of the same ingredients, some of the same flavors, the same concept, and fit it into your life? Not to keep plugging my own videos in this video, all my videos are kind of about the same thing, so it's easy to do. I have a video with 20 different salad ideas that takes 20 different meals that are not salad and turns them into a salad. So if that is a task that is of interest to you, that's a video about how to do that. And with that, those are my fun and cool tips for making meal prep that isn't sad and is in fact quite enjoyable. I like figuring out how to be creative within a specific constraint, and perhaps you will too. But speaking of being creative, the next one's going to be about how to be more creative, and I'm really excited about it. Okay, bye.